Today I'm going to be doing 3 by an hour at roughly Ironman pace, maybe a little bit easier just because I'm not entirely sure where I'm at in terms of fitness and fatigue during the week. But that's the plan, 3 by an hour. It's going to be about a 4-hour ride in total. I'm going to do it outside. It's a bit of a race simulation sort of thing, similar to what I did in Long Course Weekend in a few videos back, but just on my own. So this bike session is one of my favourite bike sessions as a preparation for an Ironman. I've done it in the past for most of the Ironmans that I've done. I think it works really well as kind of like a massive learning curve. Each time that I do it, I'm finding different things out, whether it be a fueling perspective, hydration perspective, how to put power out, how to go faster. All of those types of things are really useful before I actually go into the race, because each time I go into the race I know that, oh, this is what this feels like because I've done it before. So I've done it in Long Course Weekend, I did it before my first Ironman in Cascais last year, and I did it before Roth. So yeah, I think it's really useful. I find that it's tough, and that come the 3rd hour of efforts, you really start to have to kind of not go to the well at all, it's not like that, but if you haven't fueled correctly, it starts to really like fatigue and your legs start to kind of drop away from you. You just find that energy depletion a bit too much. I didn't really know how I was going to feel on this session because I've had a few weeks where training's been a little bit here and there, just because of illness and then racing, and after my last race I was a little bit worried about where my cycling fitness was actually at, because I just wasn't able to push what I'm usually able to push for one reason or another. Whereas I came into this, I was a little bit kind of I guess reserved on the first rep, and reserved for me, like, it's all relative, isn't it, but I was about 294 watts average for that first hour, and then the second hour was 300, and then the 3rd hour was similar. So it's actually very good for me. I think that's one of the best I've executed that session. Whether that means that I'm ready to race, I don't know, because obviously it's 3 disciplines and it's how they all fix together, so who knows. But this session went quite well for me. Did it outside because I very rarely actually ride the TT bike outside, and that's something that is definitely worthwhile doing, so that you're learning how to ride fast. The position is not different from inside on the turbo, but what it is like the feels that you get whilst you're out there are slightly different. The sweat, whether it rubs or whether it like kind of pools or whatever, all of those things are just important to understand what's going to be happening within the race. So I get a little bit of sweat on my arms, and like the bottle in between my arms gets a little bit chafy because my sweat is quite high in sodium concentrate. So I need to put a little bit of Vaseline on the inside of my arms, for example, so that it doesn't rub during the race, because having 3 hours at least of chafe after the first hour is going to really start bugging you, and then you're coming out of aero position and it's just not worth it. You just lose speed. I did it relatively kitted up, like I didn't wear an aero helmet and I didn't use my race wheels because I want to reserve them for the race, and it's quite nice to feel that extra speed. But it was still a quick setup. I think I averaged 41.5 kilometers an hour on each of my reps, so, or give or take, it was roughly the same, depending on traffic or whatever. But it was pretty good and pretty solid speed-wise. It was very flat, the course that I did, because that's what Almere will be, and Barcelona in the next couple of weeks. So I think it was important to be able to stay in that position for a long period of time and get comfortable, understand how the bike moves underneath you a little bit better, and kind of that pedal efficiency. It's easy to pedal efficiently on the turbo because there's nothing else going on around you, but it's about being smooth and fast outside on the road. Also hilarious, I found Lockie, one of our training partners here in Wales, out on the road on the course that I was doing, and I came up quite quickly behind him, and around one of the corners ended up overtaking him and barking. Did a bit of a Joe Skipper, like it's so like, that was just an intuitive, like innate noise that comes out. I didn't know what I was going to say or do. Like it was just a bit of a special moment, like it's just a stupid moment of like, oh, I'll make him jump. And as I went past, I had music in my ears, he had music in his ears, so he didn't really hear me coming. and I just heard him yelp a little bit as I went past, and I was like, immediately felt bad for it, and then had a chuckle to myself afterwards because I knew he'd like been pissed off by it, and I didn't stop because I was mid-rep, but at the same time it was funny. It was sorry but not sorry, like but yeah, anyway, like got to the end of the session and felt pretty good, had fueled well throughout. I think I'd had about 100 grams per hour, so again kind of simulating what I would do in the race. About a 4-hour ride in total, 4,000 calories as well, I think it was on the kind of what it says on Training Peaks. And yeah, all in all, really pleased with how it went. Drank about 4 or 5 litres in total, so it wasn't even that hot. I just sweat a fair amount at that intensity, so which is obviously not ideal because whatever you sweat out, you've got to put back in. But yeah, just all good to know. Good kind of prep, and I'm looking forward to racing.